Good morning, afternoon, evening. I don't know where everybody is, so good day, good Sunday. Welcome, welcome, welcome to November's Spirits Home Gathering. Yes, that's my Maddie, looking adorable. So glad you could all be here. And I'm going to start the day with some tea. Grateful, 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 even though, well, for me especially, because it's going to snow here in Cleveland tonight. I'm very excited about that. So we're going to start with a song. And for the first time, I think this is the first time I'm going to do a song by somebody else. So this is a song by my wonderful friend Karen Drucker. She's a remarkable composer and teacher and lovely human being. So the first time through, we'll sing I Am So Grateful for All That I Have. Second time through is I Am So Grateful for All That I Am. And then the third time is your choice. So whatever you'd like to sing that third time through. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. Your choice this time. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Yes, we are so blessed, blessed to be together this day. Taking in that breath and centering right here and right now, letting go of everything that has come before this moment, knowing that spirit is living and breathing and having its way through each of us, knowing that we are blessed by today's gathering, by each other, that we are lifted up in love and light. And that love and light goes out into the world, into the community. That together we lift each other and lift up our world. I'm so grateful for this gathering, grateful for its unfolding and its how it touches each and every person who hears the message. I simply release this to the law that says yes, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. All right, Rachel, lay those readings on me. All right. When you rise in the morning, give thanks for the light, for your life, for your strength. Give thanks for your food and for the joy of living. If you see no reason to give thanks, the fault lies in yourself. I don't even know how to say that.
Tecumseh. Tecumseh.
Thank you. Thank you is the best prayer that anyone could say. I say that one a lot. Thank you expresses extreme gratitude, humility, and understanding. Alice Walker. By Gilbert Chesterton. When it comes to life, the critical thing is whether you take things for granted or take them with gratitude. By Dolly Parton. If you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. And finally, by Meister Eckhart. If the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough.
Indeed. Thank you, Anne, Reverend Anne. Thank you. I'm guessing by now you figured out what the theme is. That's right. The season of chocolate has begun. By Maddie's expression, you can tell that that's how I feel about the season of chocolate. From Halloween through Thanksgiving to Hanukkah and Christmas, all the way through to Valentine's Day and Easter, I have to avoid all Walgreens, CVS, and Target stores. And especially the day after the holidays, otherwise known as Half-Price Chocolate Day, because those are the most dangerous. However, for right now, we're in November, and that leads me to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is both a beautiful holiday and also one that has some problematic origins. Before I go there, though, here's the thing about Thanksgiving for me. Having only one day designated to give thanks just doesn't sit right. I mean, we have many reasons, whether we recognize them or not, to be thankful, especially when life is showing us reasons not to be thankful. Like Dolly Parton said, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. That approach, though, stuck with me a little bit because it feels like putting up with something. And that doesn't really cut it. Because if we're feeling resentfully grateful, that's only going to backfire on us. So the big question is, can we find joy, comfort, and gratitude on the gray, rainy days as opposed to just the perfect days? And if not, how can we learn to cultivate it? Here's one way to find out. And we're going to start with the easy stuff. So, I invite you to relax in this moment. Let your eyes close or lower, just relax them, and take a really good deep breath. Now, reflect on what would be your perfect day. The temperature is exactly what you love. Your body feels strong and healthy. You're with whoever it is that makes your heart sing. And that could be a person, a pet, or yourself. Your favorite foods are there. You're fully hydrated. You are needing absolutely nothing. Sit with that feeling for just a moment. Okay, come on back to the Zoom room. I'm guessing that it was easy to feel grateful in that imagining, right? Feeling gratitude on the perfect day doesn't take a lot of work. Now, this is the heavy lifting. Here's a quirky thing about me, because let's face it, there are many quirky things about me. I have discovered that on the gray, rainy days like today, I am much more productive than I am on the sunny days. And I learned this when I lived in Alaska, because it was clear that I started to experience a form of seasonal affective disorder during the summer. During the winter, I did great. During the summer, I struggled. So these examples here are not meant to be generalizations, although they can be interpreted that way. It's very easy to say the words that we know are supposed to get us through the difficult times. The problem comes with actually meaning those words. When life is lifing, telling ourselves to stay strong doesn't always land well. And it can become a situation of making us feel worse while we're already trying to keep our heads above water. This leads to a term, oh, there's Holland. This leads to a term that I've used before and will most definitely use again. Spiritual bypassing, or spiritual bypass. As defined by John Wellwood in 1984, the term broadly means the tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks. What does this actually look like? Let's be clear. There are a few examples. The one that comes to mind first always, though, is the response of, "It's all good." Now let me clarify. As a minister, my personal philosophy is that things are all good in a larger, universal, big G good sense, usually in the ways that we can't see. However, when someone comes to me for support during a deep crisis, a health scare, emotional darkness, the death of a beloved, they are expecting me to be a safer place to be vulnerable. And in that moment, I would never respond with, "It's all good," because for them, it simply isn't. This is the danger of spiritual bypassing. Here are some other examples. When somebody's upset or angry, to acknowledge that they're angry, not "your love can cure them." That comes across very superficial. The phrase "God wouldn't give you more than you can handle," I've got news for you. If anybody's read the Hebrew Bible and you've read the book of Jeremiah, God continuously gives us more than we can handle. It's not God giving it to us, of course. It's life. However, saying God wouldn't give you more than you can handle to somebody who is handling everything, hurtful. Faith removes fear. Not when somebody is afraid. You've got to be with them. You've got to meet them where they are. We need to meet people where they are. And then, of course, you need to let go and let God. I have many friends who are atheists, and that would not be helpful to them in the slightest. So again, in a larger sense, some of these things can be seen as truth. For me, God always does give a clear sign. That doesn't always work for everybody else. So in the context of a particular moment, using phrases that fall under the category of spiritual bypassing can be damaging to somebody. Spiritual bypassing, simply put, is the dismissing of another person's experience. And it isn't limited to just specifically spiritual circumstances. In our country, we have been witness to cultural bypassing in many situations, telling those who are struggling financially to, quote unquote, pull themselves up by their bootstraps. The denial of systemic racism taking place in way too many aspects of our daily lives. Judgments held on one another for any number of reasons, and then dismissing those judgments as being just the way things are. Cultural bypassing comes across as patronizing, minimizing, diminishing, or dismissing another person's lived experience. And you're wondering, why is this in a talk about Thanksgiving? Well, as another relevant example, humans seem to have this strange obsession with not acknowledging missteps that we've made in the past as a culture, and the tendency by some people to want to ignore the steps forward that we've made. So since we're in November, let's start with the moment that's ahead of us. Starting with the moment that just passed. This recent holiday that was celebrated on October 13th, formerly known as Columbus Day, was once described to me in this way. Imagine that you invite your next-door neighbors over for dinner, and upon arriving, they decide that they like your house better than theirs, and they move in. And worse, they kick you out and tell you that this house has always been theirs, and as a bonus, they give you smallpox and measles. What we have been raised to understand as a day to celebrate discovery of a country is in fact the celebration of an invasion. And now we're at Thanksgiving. Let me just say before we hold our breaths, there are positive stories about the first Thanksgiving dinner with our indigenous ancestors. There were people who were helpful and connected and related. I'm not dismissing that. There is, however, also a big truth about what happened. As children, we were taught something, many things probably, that were not entirely accurate. Alongside the Wampanoag peoples, the suffering of way too many indigenous peoples was caused by the arrival of those who claimed this new land as theirs. And yes, it happened a long time ago. And yes, not all of us are descendants of those first European arrivals. And yes, we can ask the question, how long do we have to feel bad about this? And the thing is, it's not about feeling bad. It is about recognizing that these things happened. The slave trade, the Shoah, the Alaska Native abuses. Acknowledging that these things happened keeps us from falling into the dangerous trap of repeating these horrors. It is about the larger issue of us not seeing one another as worthy, valid, deserving human beings. And we need that in order to survive. The beautiful thing that happens when we do have those moments of truly seeing one another, acknowledging our missteps and missed takes, is that we can move forward to have more loving and connected experiences together. In Canada and Australia, they have established the honoring of Indigenous peoples and the accepted awareness of the hurts that were caused by celebrating a time of truth and reconciliation. It doesn't erase what has been done. It doesn't excuse it. It also doesn't mean that we, as non-Indigenous people, have to feel bad forever for what was done by those who came before us. It is a validation. It is an honoring. Growing up Jewish, I often wondered why I was taught year after year in Sunday school about the Shoah. It sometimes feels like that's all we ever talked about. The past. What happened before I was born. What didn't seem to be happening now. And then when I was 10, my parents took our family to Dachau. And I've shared about this experience before, so I won't go into details here. I bring it into this talk because it's the importance of remembering, the importance of history, and the learning from it. Canada and Australia created a time for truth and reconciliation to show that they have learned from their history. Germany has owned its past and established monuments and memorials so that they never forget their history. Here in America, we tend to struggle with this a bit. Not all of us, of course. However, the collective consciousness still faces some challenges. And Thanksgiving is one of those days. I want to take a moment to breathe and thank you for staying with me as we moved through this part of our time together, because I know it's not easy. So let's take a breath. Aside from the history, the political situation, and the stories attached to how it came about, for most of us, the Thanksgiving holiday is a time to experience family, biological or of choice, and to take a conscious moment to notice, appreciate, and recognize what we have, who we are, who we love, how we live, and how privileged we are to have the moment to do this. I've experienced many diverse Thanksgiving dinners with my family of origin, with friends, with kids in residential psychiatric treatment, and on my own or with Maddie. The most important thing about the holiday, though, here we are, coming back around to where we started, is the giving thanks part. Melanie Beattie said it really well. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. I just lost my place. I'm with you. So, as I said at the start, the experience of being thankful does not need to be limited to just one day a year. Our challenge is to find what we can feel grateful for in our everyday life and make a conscious choice to notice it and spotlight it. The person who taught me how to do this in a clear and practical way is the wonderful author and teacher Dan Millman. I was introduced to his work in 1988 when a wonderful healer gave me a copy of Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Then I met him here in Cleveland in 1996. I saw him again in Alaska in 2001, and then learned from him and with him during a week-long courage training in San Rafael, California in 2004. And just a few years ago, he agreed to record an intro for one episode of my podcast. I was so touched by that gift of his. I love this generous and kind man. His presence in my life has meant a lot to me over the years. And I bring him into this talk because of something he taught me that is still part of my daily practice. When I first heard him speak in 1996, I had recently finished reading No Ordinary Moments. This book changed my life in a profound way. I was thrilled for the opportunity to sit in a room and listen to him talk and share and teach. He spoke clearly about gratitude. He said that it was essential for us to find at least 3 things to be grateful for at the end of each day. This landed powerfully on me. I was still recovering from my time in a psych unit, and there'll be more about that in December's talk. And I was trying to find meaning and purpose in my life. And I had not quite grasped the concept of gratitude yet. I took his words seriously, especially the word essential. To acknowledge something, anything I could be grateful for, was essential for my survival. So I went and I bought a new journal, and before bed that night, I wrote down the date and 3 things I was grateful for. I think I started with clean water, my apartment, and my car. As of this past June, that was 29 years ago. And as of last night, I'm still doing it. After many, many years of using one journal per year and getting tired of moving all of them every time I moved, I discovered the Happiness Project's 5-year gratitude journal. This was brilliant. It was brilliant. And since then, I've been finding these one line at a time 5-year gratitude journals. The one on the right with Snoofer next to it is my current gratitude journal. I started it last year. So I am in the second year and I have 3 more years for this book. Once I got into this practice, it didn't take long for me to start writing more than the 3 things each day. And quickly, I realized that the 3 things idea was more of a baseline suggestion than an actual formula. These days, it might be 3. It might be 5. It could even be more. Some days, it's the absolute basics, the bottom row of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I woke up. I have clean water. I have a home. I have socks that keep my feet warm. From there, it can expand to clean sheets, comfy underwear, time with my mom, Jersey Mike's number 13 sub with banana peppers. So delicious. Popular ones that get repeated a lot: abundance, safety, technology. And there's music and films and shows that move me, my spiritual life, real conversations with people, good books. You get the idea. The key is just take the moment to be grateful for whatever. Back in the day, before I learned this simple in appearance lesson, it was easy for me to miss the good things in my life. To take for granted, well, everything. My life perspective was pretty self-centered, and in a not so great way. If something good happened, great. It was probably an accident, or because I would have to give up something else to receive this good thing. And if bad stuff happened, well, that was normal. This made living my life kind of challenging and not very positive or uplifting. I was like the ball in a pinball machine, getting bounced around from the appearance of good and bad things, in quotes, good and bad things. And then just before I dropped down into the depths of nothingness, the flippers, which I now interpret as the way I understand God, kept knocking me back upwards to try again. And yes, this is actually a Wizard of Oz pinball machine. I looked for it and I found it. My point is, we have choices. We're not a pinball. We can choose to be grateful. We can choose not to be. We can choose to heal the wounds of the past personally and collectively, or we can choose not to. We can choose to experience life in a different way, even when things are not the way we want them to be, or we can choose to accept that things are the way they are. I won't bypass with you here. It isn't easy to feel grateful in the moments when things are totally not the way we want or need them to be. When life is truly feeling impossible, when I do feel like that pinball banging around in my life, it's not easy. Here's something that might help. Some wisdom from Viktor Frankl that I use as a reminder. Everything can be taken from a person, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. The challenge I am inviting you to engage in, and this applies to me as well every single day, is to look for and find a deeper sense of gratitude, especially when we are in moments of experiencing what we think we don't want. And I'm going to say this again. The challenge I am inviting you to engage in, and me as well, is to look for and to find a deeper sense of gratitude, especially when we are in moments of experiencing what we think we don't want. Taking a breath with that. In 2010, while I was on a rafting journey down the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon, I experienced many moments of gratitude. I also experienced moments of fear, anxiety, and pain. Remind me to tell you sometime about what happened when I lost my fingerprints. It's a great story. This adventure was challenging for me in every single possible way. And I witnessed the way I was navigating the experience from moment to moment. And also how the experience changed by each one of my choices in each of those moments. It was in Blacktail Canyon, a revered and sacred place where the great unconformity exists, that I discovered what shifts when I take the time and yield to the awareness that regardless of whatever I might be feeling, there is a reason to be grateful. Standing in that sanctified cavern, I placed my hands on my heart and sang this reminder from Brother Francesco that there is beauty, possibility, and holiness all around us. When I open my eyes to see it, when I open my eyes to see it, it changes me, and it reminds me to be grateful. Brother, sun, and sister moon, I seldom see you, seldom hear your tune, preoccupied with selfish misery. Brother wind and sister air, open my eyes to visions pure and fair, that I may see the glory around me. I am God's creature, of all I am part. I feel God's love awakening my heart. Brother, sun, and sister moon, I now do see you, I can hear your tune, so much in love with all that I survey. Open my eyes to visions pure and clear, that I may see the glory around me. These days, it is so challenging to keep our eyes open, to keep our hearts open, to stay vulnerable, to stay courageous, to be willing to say, I'm putting my selfishness aside because I want to experience the world that exists in my heart and mind and soul. The world where we see one another. The world where we're not afraid to say, I'm sorry for what happened. I'll do better. A world where we can say, it may not have been my personal fault, and yet I carry the history. A world where we can say, let's feed our children. Let's care for our elders. Let's let someone in line before us at the grocery store because we have a full cart and they have 3 items. It's so easy. It's so easy. Let the car in. Make the decision to say yes. Respond with gentleness instead of anger. Let ourselves feel everything we're feeling and know that each of us, within the sound of my voice right now, has 100% survival rate. Wherever we are, whatever we're moving through, we can continue moving through it. We're not alone. We are all walking each other home. So as we move towards Thanksgiving, this designated holiday, let's take time to be thankful every day. Let's open our hearts and say yes to that. And let's fall in love with the world around us. And as we do that, we create the world we want to have around us. So grateful, so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen. Ashe. And so it is. Now we get to be thankful for announcements.
Yes. We love announcements, right? So the big thing is that Spirits Home now has its own webpage. So you can go to spiritshome.org and see the purpose, mission, and vision. That's where you can join the email list. Hopefully you're already on it. And then I think Rachel should talk about Spirits Home on the road because she is going to start traveling after this service. I don't know if it's today you're leaving or just.
I will be leaving on the 19th to begin 3 weeks on the road, visiting UU churches of friends that have invited me in Nassau, Long Island, Pomona in the Hudson Valley of New York, and in the Poconos. And in September, I was in Michigan, and they've just invited me back for February. So in February, I'll be going back to Michigan. However, in between that, if you want me to come to your center, just let me know. I got a car. I'm ready to come.
Yeah, well, coming to Alaska, you might need more than a car.
Yeah.
Yes. Just a reminder, we do have our 501c3 status, so all donations are tax deductible. Yay! And specifically, we are seeking donations right now for printing Rachel's book. So I saw somewhere that you talked about that in the email, maybe.
It's on my little notes.
Yes.
Yeah. I work through a group called 48 Hour Books. They're amazing, and they're not cheap. And so when I want to print copies of my book to take with me on the road, I pay them for that. So a lot of people were like, well, I'd love to donate to Spirits Home, but what exactly am I donating to? There's a good reason. Spirits Home on the road can use all the support for books. I just printed bookmarks for the books. And yeah, so that's that.
Yes. And donations have gone to technology because getting things to sound good with piano and voice and talk. It's not free. So there was some investment made to make all of this sound good. So, and finally, please do share the work that Spirits Home is doing. Of course, you can share the Zoom link with trusted friends, but we're not making it public.
Yeah. Yeah. If you think somebody might be moved by it, share it. I would love to invite more people in. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. It's gratitude time. And let me just say this picture is from a Thanksgiving that I spent up in Willow, Alaska, off the deck of my buddy's cabin. So, always so grateful for everything. Always so grateful. Oh, I forgot to do the echo. I'll do it. Always so grateful, always so grateful. Saying thanks and giving thanks. Living a life of gratitude is the way I choose to live. Saying thanks and giving thanks. Living a life of gratitude is the way I choose to live my life, and I am always so grateful. Always so grateful. Look around, so much to say, yes. I'm thankful now for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever. Look around, so much to say. I'm thankful now for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever. None whatsoever. That's why I'm always so grateful. Always so grateful. Always so grateful. So next month will be the second Sunday again in December, December 14th. It's also the Erev Hanukkah. So that's kind of cool. The landing page is spiritshome.org. My website, which again has all the talks on them. So if you ever want to catch up, you can find them on YouTube, but you can also find them at the website, revrachelholland.com, and you can reach out to me at spiritshome42@gmail.com. If you use Venmo, you can use that QR code right there. And if not, you can just reach out and let us know how you want to donate. And just so very grateful that we're doing this, that it's possible, and for all of the pieces, parts, and all of the people that help make this happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know I'm God.